A lot of this we can probably actually end up deleting, but let's see how the gauges work. They're not. Welcome to the shop. I'm Jared, and this is the Questionable Garage, and this is Pawpaw's OBS C10 square body 1986 Chevy C10 that we kind of inherited as a project. It was supposed to be quick and easy. We're going to get that Holley Sniper 2 on there, get it running great, and then I heard the whole story. The gentleman, Kevin, handed someone $15,000 and a bunch of parts. A crate engine, a rebuilt transmission, and boxes of parts to assemble the truck. That was just labor. When I first was talking with him and he said 15,000, I assumed 1,500 because 15,000 didn't quite seem right in my head, especially given the type of work we found. There's just basically nothing's right. You guys, if you've seen the last couple episodes, this was our 1 episode series. We're starting on episode 3 today. That's okay. But in the process of getting this truck back up and running to keep that family heirloom, well, usable and drivable, fortunately someone took advantage of them, took a whole lot of money, and didn't get anything done. Well, we're going to try to get a whole lot done today. There's a couple parts I need to get installed on this thing, like some heater and AC vents. Wait, no, this one's for an air box. Heater and AC vents. A floppy dash cover, some behind the dash wiring, and whatever this failure of a 3D print is. We got a lot of work to do. All right, guys, as you can tell, we're gonna talk about Aviron again today. I'm walking on their treadmill, and it is a partner I'm incredibly excited to have on the channel. Now, in a sea of exercise equipment, what really makes Aviron stand out? Well, it is their gamified workout equipment. You have the option of a pedal bicycle, a rower, or what I'm working on right here, we've got the treadmill. Now, what is the Aviron gamified experience? Well, it's not just working out, running stationary, watching movies, which you can do on this unit. They have fun and engaging games to help you hit different goals. Now, it may just be me, but if I'm working along and I see I'm almost to another level, I'm gonna push a little bit more and get there because there's some competitive drive in me. You're able to access over 1,000 different games, all of your coaches and your classes, your statistics from all of your working out, and it is updated monthly. And controlling the Aviron and all of your games and streaming services is incredibly easy with the built-in 22-inch touchscreen. Now, after a year, most exercise equipment ends up sitting, not being used anymore. Not with Aviron. More than 83% of their users continue to use their equipment more than a year after purchase. It goes to show the psychology and fun of games really does work. Now, you may need more than just games to keep you going. Well, with online coach classes and tons of built-in workout programs to keep you engaged, you're gonna find success. And if that's still somehow not enough for you, well, you've got the convenience of almost every streaming app you could want to watch your favorite shows or YouTuber while you work out as well. Although, guys, I'm not sure if I want you staring at me while you're really sweaty, but you know, you're getting into shape. Now, we've talked about the software. Let's hit on the hardware just a little bit real quick. The Aviron has a 4-inch running deck, their CloudStrike deck. It is incredibly low. I don't have very tall ceilings in the room we set this thing up for, and I am able to run and not hit my head. The 4-inch deck is one of the lowest in the industry. You don't have to take my word for it. When I'm not on it, our 2 Great Pyrenees, Magni and Pira, fight for who gets to sleep on the CloudStrike deck. Another benefit of that 4-inch running deck is it helps keep the unit incredibly stable while you're running, even if you've got it set at incline. Now, another nice thing about the 22-inch screen and the interactive environments is recently, unfortunately, lost my mom, and one of her favorite places has been the beach. So I'm able to load up a lot of the different virtual beaches and just kind of get lost for a little bit. And that's a really nice thing to have. You can find yourself on a beach pretty much anywhere in the world and just get lost for an hour while you kind of walk through your thoughts. It's been a really nice tool to have around, both for working on my health and working on the mental health. Now, if you're ready to take a look at the Aviron gamified workout equipment, again, the treadmill, the rower, or the bicycle, scan this. Dwayne, where'd you put it? Scan that QR code, check out the link down below in the description box as well as in that comment section. Again, I know more than half of you are watching on the TV, so point your cell phone, scan that QR code, you're gonna find out a whole lot, and if you use Garage50, you're gonna save $50. And while you're there, you can take a look at the white glove delivery service. That's one extra option. They come in, set it all up for you wherever you want, take the trash away, and you're ready to work out. Aviron has got you covered. Again, QR code, link in the description, and comments down below. Use Garage50, and you're gonna save $50. Every change begins with a first step. Why not take yours? All right, we're gonna get started trying to figure out our instrument cluster and that side of the painless harness. And you can see we got a lot of wires. A little bit of a mess here. Now, this wasn't the shop. This was given back to them, still in a box with absolutely nothing done. So he got started trying to put some of this together himself. So, not bad. And there are things labeled, but we're gonna switch this over to a single connector and then just try to go through, figure out everything we got going on or not going on, and get her up and running. Well, trying to revive some things gets tricky sometimes. Overall, all of the wiring I can trace, it's done exactly how it should be. All the connections are right where they should be. Nothing is out of the ordinary there. So if we key on, we get no sweep. But if we go left or right, it's kind of hard to see, but if you look really close, one illumination bulb lights up. So there's my left blinker. It blinks. Now it's on solid. You can see the 120 pretty clear. Right blinker. It starts to blink. But if I come in here, if I take its power away, that light goes off. My indicators work just like they should be working. Nothing is booting up, doing its sweeps. So we gotta troubleshoot those brand new parts. Whew. It's always fun. One downside is they've been sitting around so incredibly long from the first shop that I think we're outside of any potential warranty. All right, we are back on the interior of Pawpaw's C10 here. We got our gauges back from New Vintage. Those guys were rock stars. We were technically out of time warranty. They took care of us. We sent it in. They bench test and reset everything, and it kind of behaved there except for the oil pressure switch. So they changed that stepper motor out, sent 2 new sending units and new wiring pigtails here. So we're gonna go through, clean up all of this dash wiring. We're gonna put those new pigtails in, triple check all of that wiring, and hopefully get these gauges working. Also, we're gonna work on cleaning all of this extra up. So that way, once we get that done, we can move on to all of the air hoses that I don't know how they go, and hopefully get a dashboard in this thing. Then a seat, then glue the carpet, then a seat. There's doesn't look like much left, but there's a whole lot left. So after New Vintage set the gauges back, they also gave us some new wiring pigtails. And given that we were fighting some weird issues, starting fresh on the wiring is never a bad idea. Now, one thing I will say, never be ashamed to look at a manual. I'm flipping back and forth between the painless diagram and the New Vintage diagram to make sure we get this wired correctly. Also, you'll notice that I am soldering these connections instead of using my traditional barrel crimps. One big reason is when you have a lot of patches in a small area, the barrel crimps can get very thick. The soldering will work perfect here, and by offsetting each of our joints, we're able to keep the wiring loom nice and thin. If you imagine if you put every one of your joints in one spot, that diameter is going to increase and you're going to have one big lump in your wiring loom. Well, all right, we have got wiring together, I hope. It still looks a little messy because, well, I want to make sure it works first. So it's, believe it or not, that's tidier. A lot of this we can probably actually end up deleting, but let's see how the gauges work. They're not. But I just literally confirmed all of the vehicle wiring and it worked on their bench. Back to the drawing board. All right. Went back, checked power and ground. We were getting power and ground, but this is where the importance of a load test. An ohm meter can only tell you so much. I got to looking at the grounds and I didn't love the way they looked. So I redid them. Went back, found where the joins were in the painless harness and gave us a nice new crimp there. And they work. Ugh, let's put you up here again. Oh, untangle that wire maybe. There we go. There we go. Look at that. Shows some voltage. Not 100% on our fuel level yet. I know it's very low, but let them do their sweep. Do we get a tack now? We got a tack now again. Mucho better. I know you guys were making fun of me when I said EFI just works. You have to set it up. It's like a carburetor and you first put it on there, but it's better, trust me. But we now have our working gauges again. Yeah, we're starting to get up into the charging territory. And I can already see temperature slowly starting to come up. So I do know now we have our fuel gauge hooked up correctly, and this really could just be that we have no gas in it at all. So we'll get some more gas in it, but new vintage, thank you. Thank you for getting your help on getting these things back together. And now we know they're good. So now to finish our spaghetti. There's a lot of it. Now, what I'm doing here is going over the wiring harness and removing anything we don't need. We don't have power windows or any of those extra accessories, so we're pulling the wires out to keep it clean and minimalistic. Again, there's absolutely nothing wrong with capping these wires, tucking them behind the dash, but again, we want it clean and tidy, so we don't need it. It's out of here. All right, you guys ready to see the result of all of that wiring work? Listen, it's not loomed, but if you really look, it is a whole lot cleaner, and I'm a lot happier with it. So we're gonna come through and get the stuff into a loom and cleaned up a little bit yet, but it is basically the minimum of what we need. Also, those new vintage, the connectors are the exact same, so I just printed those, just make it a little easier to plug and unplug, and we've got to clean up the illumination wiring. But beyond that, everything is doing what it's supposed to. I went ahead and mounted our light switch just so that was there, and we've got that harness to tuck in, and that's wiring done, which I'm pretty excited about. So I'm gonna be honest, I'm not gonna show you me wrapping all of the wiring. I'll show you the finished project, but you've seen someone wrap Tessa tape, and I value your time. I appreciate your time, and it pads a video. Man, wait, we don't need to waste that time. I'll get this clean, and I'll show it to you. But the next thing we're gonna work on trying to get in the truck is the dashboard. But that's gonna take a little bit of work, so I'm gonna show you that. And also, I don't get to install it yet because the silly clips I need are back ordered. I finally found them. Normally $2 a piece, 12-ish dollars. $65 for those clips, but they're coming. So let me show you the dashboard. Now, when it comes to these aftermarket dashes, you talk to the people who know, and there's not really one that's great. You get into the Brothers line from Holley, and they get a little bit better, and they're gonna fit pretty good, but pretty much any of the lower price points, you're making some small compromises. And you can see that in how we've got this panel fitted. We protrude a little bit. It's not perfect in this area. Come back around, there's a little bit of waviness. And that's because this is basically like a poly or a urethane. It is super flexible, which is good in the sense that it is not going to easily sunbake and get ruined in that regard. But if you're going for a 10/10 show truck, you're gonna have a little bit of fitment issues, and that's where a lot of the crazy guys spend insane money on survivor dashes. But you do that, you're spending $800, $1,000, $1,500 on a 40-year-old, 50-year-old dashboard that if you look at it wrong, it might crack and break. Maybe not the best choice of spending. And on this truck, we were talking dashboards, and Kevin was willing to throw bank and get a good original, but as nice as they're making it, they still want to drive it, not worry about it. So one of the first things we'll need to do is when they make these dashboards, from the back you don't really see much, but if we roll it, and you already see how flexible she is, which again, good and bad. You have this real big extra flashing from the molding process, because you've got metal, you got foam, there's a lot of pieces that go into making these. This is basically a trim to fit. A factory dash is gonna have just a tiny little ear, more or less right there, of the foam, and then your A-pillar trim will sit on top of it. But what we can do is we'll loosely slide this in. Most likely we'll end up cutting almost this whole flange off. But again, you can only cut it once. So we're gonna fit it in the truck, kind of get an idea for how it's laying, how much we're gonna need to cut off, pull it back out, get that cut, and then before it goes in for the final time, we're gonna have to figure out all those plastic pipes I was holding earlier. And what's really weird, as popular as this truck is, somehow most every other video and topic just goes right over the top of it without really showing any detail. I mean, there's only so many pieces to a puzzle. We'll figure it out. Well, also, it's kind of fun on a lot of these dashboards. The install is just people drilling all their own holes and things like that. Also, they tend to be a little bit easier when the windshield's out, especially if you're trying to fit one of these aftermarket ones. You have a lot more room. All right, so that whole leading edge flange needs to get trimmed flush back because she's not letting it go all the way in. And then for the dash, we need to go pretty much flush along this edge. Oh man. All right, let's see. Where's it going? It's not looking good, friends. Not looking very good. Yeah, so that whole flange, and then, yeah, we can leave a little kicker right there, and the side goes flush. I just picked up that razor blade. Where'd you go? There it is. Okay. Alright, that's really not doing much. I need a fresher one. How well are you gonna stay? Probably not at all. Let's be right back. Hey, did better than expected. Kind of stayed put. So, get this back. Back out we come. All right, so you can see the flashing all through here, which we're gonna kind of cut. We're gonna come straight through here and then leave a slight edge right up until there. So we have a little teardrop shape, and we'll take the side down. Some people leave a little bit of the side and wedge it in. I'm gonna like this to be flush. We've got some trim and weather stripping to fill this gap. It'd be nice to keep it. It's just unfortunately not fitting that tight. We still have to try to work out and get our vents to be able to pop and stay in. So you see that slight score we made. Just very carefully start to get it close. I'm actually going to come back in, cut this line. There you go. Again, nice, sharp, fresh razor blades will make your life a lot better. Pull out ever so gently as you're cutting. Just take your time. Now we may end up trimming that down a little bit more as we go. Next is this hole lip. Now this might be one of those times where, like, if you have a foam hot electric knife cutter or wire cutter, probably be pretty nice for this feature. But slow and steady with a razor blade cuts as well. I know you may ask, Jared, if you plan to sand it, why didn't you just start sanding from the beginning? There is a lot we had to remove before we could get to a sanding point, and by having just a little bit to trim, I could run basically I ran a worn out sanding disc so we could go really slow and precise. The last thing you want to do is grip up and cut right through all of this. So now we got this edge trimmed up, the little bit of metal tabs pulled back. We got to get it clean, but before it can go in, we're still waiting on a couple clips for this, and I need to play the pipe puzzle game right now. So let's get to it. Now that that dashboard's all fit, we can start trying to figure out our all of these hoses now. Now, something I want to also show you with this dashboard is these traditionally come with these plastic nuts, or these split kind of stamped out nuts. They work okay. You can get proper tension 90% of the time, but the aftermarket ones don't always work the best. A little secret, some of you guys might know this. Get you some 1032 screw nuts. They will thread onto those studs perfect. You can put a little bit more tension on them and they hold great. The biggest thing is the slip nut or the stamped nuts, they'll slip a little bit and you tend not to over tighten and break something. With a 1032 actual nut, you can. So just be careful tightening it down. But I was finding that the included stamped nuts just weren't doing a good job of holding our air hose in position. So I went ahead and went with my old trick of getting those on. So that's about ready. Now we got to figure this stuff out, which I actually kind of did. That goes somehow under the whole dash to the driver's side. That goes to the driver's side vent. That one comes off an air box. And then this bad boy is the middle and passenger, and it was taped off, which is odd. And it was missing this vent all the way over here, but something I need to find connects those two. Because, yeah, it lands there. Something's missing. I'll try to find it. So one thing you definitely want to do is this old foam, pretty much crunchy and shot, and while you could probably put it together without it, it's not very expensive to go get new foam. You can even just get it from your hardware store. We'll have to narrow this a little bit, obviously, for that hole and wrap it around here. That's just going to make sure the air you're blowing around is going where you want it to. Again, it's one of those things that it's so easy. There's no reason not to do it. So often I see it skipped, and it's like, guys, $4 at the hardware store. If we're being honest, our old AC systems aren't always the best. You know, R12 will blow cold, But if you're losing all that air you're blowing, what good's it doing? I mean, it's easier than losing $100 in Vegas. So I'll finish cleaning that up, get that stuck in, and then let's try to get some pipes in our truck. Let's start trying to figure all this order out. No, that can't go on there because, no, it does. Okay. So that attaches via 2 screws here. This goes across and will feed into something over there. So that helps me with that wiring, kind of. Sort of need to know where that all goes. All right, that'll feed those. Okay, so that goes in. Ow. I still am gonna have to find that hose, but that'll just let me come back through here and clean up all that wiring, which will feel good. Like I know where I can put it rather than just blindly guessing. That goes there. I still have to clean that. That's one thing to really stop and think too. While you have all this stuff apart, clean it the best you can. Doesn't hurt. I also maybe cheated a little bit. If you guys remember way back, there's a service truck that had the cab crushed a little, you know, shortened up just a hair. I got 2 GoPros in here. I don't remember having 2 GoPros in here, but I do. But anyway, same model of truck. So, you know, just borrowing some looks, trying to figure out how all this is meant to go. You lock in there, and boom. That's pretty easy. You know, rock me some just stainless steel pan heads. Now, a little trick, if you're ever needing some of these screws, and you're getting them from, like, you know, the hardware store, the Aces or whatever, a lot of times you'll notice the stainless screws are like way expensive individually. But if you actually look, if you buy a whole box, it's suddenly a really reasonable price. So most of the time, like if I need, you know, 6, 7, it's not that much more money, and you can just buy a whole case of them, whole box of them. Okay, I've been dreading this, but it's going a whole lot better than expected. And then I'm not sure, because we still need to do a little bit of the wiring here. We got to get the brake switch, or I'm sorry, the kick down switch done. Get it at least stuck where it belongs. Those of you who've done 100 of these trucks are just cringing at me, and that's okay. I gotta actually, there's one more here. There's so few things. There's just a lot of little messes. This is the defroster. The hinge part stays, doesn't it? Say if I could pull that, I'd make that a little bit easier. Yeah, no, it's not. We have the technology. Ow. Come on. Apparently the technology I have doesn't work. The technology I need is small hands. You go in there. Shouldn't make it. Come on. What are you hanging up on? There's nothing there. Just go in. I'm sure you guys once or twice been a victim of that. You get it figured out eventually, like that. There we go. We got some stuff to sort through there, but we're golden. That's gonna go in. Everything else is where it belongs. Oh, the wiring tucked in how I want when it's time to tuck it in. Oh, all right, I'm gonna get this in. See my little screw mounts, or whenever the dash cover could go in for good. That feels good, at least. Oh, all right. Vents, look at that. They're where they all need. We need one little hose. I'm gonna get this loomed up, but I have something really, really, really cool planned. You guys may be wondering why we don't have a radio in it. They don't want to run a radio. We have a Holley gauge we've got to get mounted somewhere. I feel like that's a pretty good spot for it to live, but I don't want to just two-side tape this, so let's bust out some really insanely cool technology and see if we can't scan and maybe draw up and print something really cool. All right, so we are getting ready to bust out our Raptor X again. We were able to play with it a little bit while we were making some parts on the Ferrari truck, which we need to get back to and finish. All these pickup trucks surprising us with extra work. But what we are trying to do is make a cover panel for the radio bezel area that will allow a Holley Terminator screen or Sniper screen to slide in there. So one of the things we need to do is we take and we put these little reference dots on the part that we're scanning. Now this works for infrared or really for the laser where it really excels. And when I said infrared, I mean LiDAR, excuse me. But you put your little dots and these would create additional reference points as the laser is scanning. It just helps it zero out because this is a relatively flat panel. It maybe could have done okay without it, but there's no reason not to just give it some extra points to make sure it does a good job. So now that I got a couple of those dots on there, let's go ahead and fire up and get that scan. So once we get this all scanned up, I double check our matrix and remove a couple of the extra dots and unnecessary items in the Creality Scan software. I then import that scan into Fusion 360, and then I use it to trace and start drawing out my panel. First, I trace the shape out, make sure it overlays correctly. We add some threads on the back of it, drop in the 3.5-inch mount drawing, and boom, custom mount ready to go. All right, so what was the result of that first print? Not very good at all. The threads kind of worked, but I got thicknesses wrong and it broke. Also, printing ABS is pretty hard. So, second attempt. We're looking a whole lot better, but I was getting shrinkage and weird warp. This was me trying to print it at a slight vertical angle to minimize our supports. It shows everything is gonna line up and do what I want. Also, I'm really proud of that nut we drew. So Fusion doesn't really have a way to incorporate knurling in the side. So I found a way to draw lines and mirror it to just give you a little bit of a textured knurl. That is designed to clear the slight elevation of the back. Like, I don't know. This is really dumb, but I am really proud of that. So this is our second print. I've increased the thickness, but not where I want. So then I started trying to print it flat, and that's where the supports didn't really hold up. The whole print, it warped. I tried ironing. It's a mess. It's an absolute just. Tweaked temperatures a whole lot, and I thought I was getting a little closer, and I stopped it because it lifted, and 3 hours into round 4, and it's looking promising. You'll find out a lot sooner than I will, because it's going to be right now if this one worked. And if I'm maybe begging and pleading with some of you ABS guys to help me figure out, you'll probably say order some ASA, but I'm pretty stoked on the fact we were able to scan that part. We traced, drew, got everything we needed, and once I can get it to print, we know it's going to work great. All right, guys, it just finished. Well, it's better. I think it did lift. Why is it always that corner? I will say the adhesion's a lot better, but it lifted a little right there. I did a whole lot of reading on all the different forums, and they suggested a little bit of glue and a really hot bed, and we did that. Some of the shapes are a little bit better. I tried some ironing, and that didn't quite work. I don't know if maybe coming back through and slowing it way down. I got a whole lot more printing to try, but let me break out the supports and just see what we got left here. Garbage. That's what I got. So far, this was my best print, and that was with it done vertically to minimize support volume and really slow. I just got that little bit of warping, but I thought flat was going to be a good trick. Turns out it's not, so I'm not going to have my newest, prettiest one done, but we were able to draw it. I've got working threads, and I've got the nut I am incredibly proud of. So I say we're still making a whole lot of progress, and speaking of progress, I feel like I've made a lot. I'm still kind of getting back into the groove. If you guys have seen the community poster note, unfortunately, lost my mom very suddenly, and it messed me up pretty good, as I think most of you probably would experience. So we're getting back into the groove, like I say a lot in projects and just kind of life, you know, one step at a time. And I felt like we've taken a lot of steps as far as making progress and kind of getting back to normal. So we've got wiring almost all done. We've got a dashboard waiting for 6 spring clips, and it's ready to go in. We've got climate control almost all done and ready to go in, and we're close to having a custom part that's never existed before. World firsts right here. And it was kind of fun playing with our Creality scanner, the Raptor X, getting this thing scanned up, working on our CAD a little bit. It's kind of fun mixing in this modern, you know, latest, greatest technology while we're working on these old vintage vehicles. I don't think anyone imagined 3D printing when they originally designed that pickup truck. So that's wrapping part 3 of our 1-part episode series. I think I'm gonna design a shirt kind of based on that. I got a whole lot of designs I need to actually finalize, and we'll have some really fun, cool merch. If you like any of our current stuff, over on the Bunker Branding page, jump on over there, take a look, find something good. Hopefully my voice is back 100% for the next one. I don't even know why it's gone. Feel perfectly fine. Who knows? But anyways, I'm Jared, reminding you guys to always make questionable choices. And a phrase we came up with is, love like Allison. That was my mom, and she loved anyone and everyone and had the greatest empathy and compassion. So I'm going to do a little bit better of trying to mimic that, and I hope you guys do that a little bit as well. We'll see you next time.